It's good to have more during the holidays. And Bones. This is Locked On Nuggets.
Fuck you, Matt.
This is Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Thanks for making this your first listen each and every day. I do want to tell you before we answer why I was berated by my co-host. This episode is brought to you by TrueBill. TrueBill is the new app that saves you money by helping you identify and stop paying for your subscriptions you don't want or need, and can even negotiate better deals on those you want to keep. Check it out at TrueBill.com. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network and Nuggets Insider for 104.3 The Fan in Denver. He's Adam Mares, director of content for thedmvr.com. You can find his work at Adam_Mares. Why? What did I do? What did I do with the intro?
I just said Facu. I mentioned Facu is all. He deserved a shout out as well.
Oh. I did not think you said
Facu. I said Facu. You were doing puns, and I said Facu, Matt. Like, okay. Hey, also
I was like, jeez. All right. So the Nuggets. I'll give you my big takeaway, and you can fact check me on this. Nuggets win 133-115. This was an instance of two teams that are approximately long-term throughout the course of the season, probably close-ish, in which one team played really badly and the other played really great. A lot of the tactical edges went Denver's way. A lot of the performance side obviously went the Nuggets' way. The shooting side went the Nuggets' way. The Nuggets flat out played better versus a team that is basically in their tier. Would you agree with that?
Yes, but here's what I would rather characterize this. I am officially this is the season we have. So are they in the same tier? I don't know. Probably. Like, we keep thinking of all these teams as like the best version. There is no best version of any team anymore. Sure. It's all gone. So yeah. I would say every team is in the same tier, minus like 3 at the top, 3 at the bottom. And then you just don't know what you're getting tonight. Tonight, you got a good Denver team that was mostly healthy relative to who is available for them anyway. Like, the only guys that were out tonight are guys that are out for a while. J Mike's the only guy that's out for like a short term. So Denver was actually healthy tonight. This was a healthy Nuggets roster. And they played well. Right. Yeah, they shot well.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was more trying to put the context around the fact of, I don't think the Hawks are as bad as they looked. I thought they played really badly relative to what they can do. Now, this has been an ongoing problem for them, and maybe this is just who they are, right? But like, there was just like a lot of stuff tonight where I was like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?" And the Nuggets, on the other hand, I thought were sharp. They were engaged. They had the muscle down. Like, they were locked in. This was a focus performance. And they had pep in their step, and I thought they had great energy. And there's a lot of names that we can go to here. Would you like to start with Bones?
Yeah, he's probably the story of the game. I don't know. The bench unit as a whole is the story of the game, but he was the leading scorer of everyone.
So, like, the deep threes, I still am like, I don't know how to feel about it, except for the fact that, like, I think he probably is just a good enough shooter to take him. The dribble handoff one I thought was really good. I thought the dribble handoff one where he got separation and just fired from deep, that was a really good look. And like, that's an important shot. His ability to just, like, the handle was on display. The whole theory has been that if Bones plays to his potential, that's going to help spark the bench unit. And it absolutely did. Like, he was terrific. I would actually say, relevant to your opening pun, that it was the combination of Bones and Facu created the energy level that bench needed, alongside playing Gordon with them for an athletic rim runner, alongside playing Zeke Naji for them to have a little bit more size. Like, that combination looked
You forgot one guy who I think was important too there.
Okay. Who?
And that was Austin Rivers, who also returned tonight and also shared the court with them and did a really good job of going towards the basket. Austin Rivers, I think, can get a little perimeter oriented at times. And tonight he was clearly more set on being aggressive and almost more confident going at the basket. And just that combination of players tonight really worked. And you're right, it does have a lot to do with making shots, and Bones Hyland did the heavy lifting in that department.
Facu Campazzo was a huge part of why Vlatko Cancar was a +9 in 17 minutes. Vlatko was great in this game, which again is a sign that maybe the Atlanta Hawks need to look themselves in the mirror for a very long time and like really, really kind of deal with some stuff.
Who is their backup center usually? So who are they short tonight? Because they look so tiny out there.
No one.
Yeah, so they just always. What I was wondering is if they always just play tiny.
So I think the big one of the kind of the big keys here is Onyeka Okongwu. This is his first game back.
Right.
Now look, I had kind of looked at this last year and been like, this is my question for them last year was like, you guys don't have a backup center, and they're like, well, Okongwu is going to play a fair amount, and they're going to go small with Solomon Hill, who's out. They've done like Solomon doesn't play a lot of minutes. They can play small ball in certain matchups with John Collins, but Collins was playing with the starters and he got like he was great offensively. I thought there's a bunch of stuff to get to in this game. But yeah, that bench unit, I do think like they just ran them. They just ran them.
This is the hard thing. I thought Denver's bench played really well tonight, but I also thought Atlanta's bench played really poorly, but also looked really, really bad. Like I don't know what they look like when they are supposed to look good. So I don't know if this was just an example of beating a really bad bench unit.
Well, I think like if you want to kind of like try and identify what that was, like the fact that Lou only played 10 minutes, I thought was really notable and weird. He was -17 in 10 minutes. Oof. But the other thing was Gallo was an absolute abomination. The Nuggets did a little bit of targeting in this game, not necessarily purposefully. I don't think like ran some actions because there was like small game. Like they weren't like, we're going to hammer this matchup over and over and over again, but they got Trey Young and Danuel Gallinari involved in as many off ball actions as possible. And it worked every single time. And when Gallo is 1 of 7 from the field, that's absolutely like the same kind of deal. Like it's just, that's how it's going to kind of go. So I think, I think you're right that they played like I said. I'm not trying to take anything away from the Nuggets. I don't think you can. They scored 133, right? They played great. This is a great win. It's a great road win. I think the Hawks have got to be like they've had this problem where they just can't play like they did last year, and they don't know how to fix it. But they were really lost tonight, and it was fairly obvious. You want to take a break? We'll come back and we'll talk about Joker and I want to talk about Monte and a bunch of other folks.
Okay, yeah, their starters were really good as well, and they were obviously a big story of this. But I almost feel like we didn't do enough on Bones here. Just what an impact he made in the game. I mean, we mentioned his shots; he was 4 or 5 from the 3-point line, which he won't go every night. Although he did shoot these ones with confidence. But I just thought he ran that unit really well too. Like that's the thing is, they need him to be sort of a vet. And he still goes back and forth between looking passive, like where do I fit in, and then nights like tonight where he just looks confident, being able like, hey, no, you guys get behind me. And when he does that and plays well, the bench usually looks good.
I love Austin Rivers attacking the rim. I like Bones. Like Bones' confidence does add a lot for them. And yeah, like just man, sometimes it really is just raw production. Like they just need somebody to produce, and they have a producer. And like you had mentioned like Facu. This is one of the best games of the season for him. He was great. He was just absolutely terrific on both ends. Like the nutmegs are one thing. He had 2 nutmegs, which were amazing. But just the tempo he played with, he did really have some great dishes. He played within himself. He didn't shoot too much.
He's starting to pass really well. I mean, he had 8 assists tonight, and he's like as these games. Over the last 10 or so, he started to really throw some nice passes. I wonder if he's getting more confident.
Yeah, I think so. 1 of 2 from 3, like didn't shoot too much. That's a big thing. Like 7 points, 8 assists is what you want from him, I think. Right? That's a good, I think, amount for what you're looking at.
Matt, you want to know something funny here? We're live.
We are live.
Somebody says first time getting your show live. I'm pretty sure this is the first time we went live, and it was an accident.
Hey, that's how it goes.
A happy accident, though.
Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about all manner of the starters when we come back, including Jeff Green. When we come back on Locked On Nuggets. But first, I do want to tell you about TrueBill. You know why free trials renew without your consent? It's a business scam to get you. Don't let greedy corporations pocket your money. Download TrueBill to take control of your subscriptions. TrueBill is a new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or simply forgot about. On average, people save up to $720 a year with TrueBill. Because companies make subscriptions hard to cancel, TrueBill makes it incredibly simple. Just link your accounts and TrueBill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions in one tap. Your TrueBill concierge is there when you need them to cancel unwanted subscriptions so you don't have to. TrueBill's got over 2 million users and helped them save over $100 million. They've saved an MPJ contract over that duration. Don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at TrueBill.com/LockedOnNBA. Go right now, TrueBill.com/LockedOnNBA. It could save you thousands a year. TrueBill.com/LockedOnNBA. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for making it your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Matt Moore and Adam Mares breaking down Hawks, Nuggets. Nuggets with a big win on the road. Impressive one. Where do you want to go with the starters? We talked about the bench in the first segment because they were fantastic. Who do you want to start with amongst the starters?
The two guys that, I mean, we talk about them as a duo a lot because I feel like they're becoming a duo, but Aaron Gordon and Jeff Green, I just continue to love the way those two guys play together, the way they make Jokic's life easy. And Jeff Green tonight, usually it's Aaron Gordon who does, I mean, he always guards the best player. And then, offensively, he gets a few more touches. Tonight, Jeff Green, 8 of 13, 4 of 9 from the 3-point line. He gets 20 points to go along with 5 rebounds, 4 assists. That's, statistically, I think his best game of the season. But he was also just really good, statistics aside.
They ran him in that slip play that they ran for Gordon. And
They
ran it
5-4 pick and roll.
And they ran that 5-4 and they ran it several times and got buckets for it. And it was just easy. Like Green had it everywhere.
I wonder why they don't actually run. When they did it today, I thought, why don't they do that more often? And it's funny, I didn't even think because even before I was like, we didn't really bring it up. But now you look at it and you go, oh yeah, he's also enormous and super athletic.
I think it's a great counter when teams show or switch, which they were doing a little bit of both versus Joker. That was like, I think it's just a great counter because Green's he understands how to roll to the rim, and the Nuggets don't have a lot of guys that understand how to roll. And Jeff Green understands like how to roll exceptionally well. I thought he was really great in that capacity. Gordon with 2 transition pull-up threes, got his feet set, looked awesome. Didn't even need to use the glass. Adam, he was able to hit those without using the backboard. So good for him.
I really love Jeff Green's game though. You kind of glossed, you moved on with him. And I get why, but if somebody sent me something today saying like by Raptor 538's like catch-all metric that he's the 14th worst player in the NBA. No, like he's really good and he fits in really nicely with this unit. And sometimes he can be a little passive. Like he doesn't always have the highest motor, or like he's not going to dive on the ball for every 50 or dive on the floor for every 50-50 ball, but he just knows how to play basketball. He knows how to, on defense, he knows where to be. He reacts quickly and on time, and offensively, he just reads the court really well. I really like Jeff Green's game. I'm surprised at how much I like his game.
It was crazy because he was so bad with that bench unit. Like the grumbling was loud on Media Row at games about Jeff Green, just from an effort level. And I kept trying to be like, look, Jeff's going to pace himself. Like this is just going to how it's going to be. But I think this is part of it, right? Is the team's like, hey, look, we're going to put you with the starters. And I think Jeff Green knows like, these are really important minutes. I need to play hard here. Like I'm going to get shots.
No, but I'm going to push back on that a little bit because I actually think it has more to do with the fact that especially veteran players like him like playing basketball the right way. Like when it's easy to anticipate, you know where you're supposed to be. When there is no direction, when there is no connection and what that second unit had been for the first 20 games, really, it's only recently coming out of that. That's a drag on everyone, especially players like Jeff Green, because then you look terrible alongside all those guys. So I think it has more to do with the style of play that he gets to play with in that starting unit versus what he was asked to do in that second unit that was directionless.
Fair. I'm not trying to breeze through these guys. I'm just trying to get us through kind of the show in short order to get to the breaks. But Monte Morris, I thought was like he was terrific. Like Bones getting 24 takes the leading scorer title from him. Yep. He was lethal. Like Monte somebody was yapping at him and he hit a 3 and turned around and like let him know about it. And after that, he hit like another deep 3. Monte, I mean, he was hitting like great shots coming off of the pick. Like Monte this is one of Monte's better games of the season, I feel like.
Well, it is really good. He's been good lately. Hastings had a great comment that he seems to have a knack for hitting timely threes, that his threes show up right at the right time. And tonight that was definitely true, including the one you're talking about.
Great mid-range game as well. He was just like I just loved the way that the Monte played. He was really patient. The whole unit was good.
Is Monte a starter in this league, or is he a backup doing a nice job of filling in as a starter?
Entirely depends on like what the team's trying to accomplish. So it's like if you like Monte and Houston would start.
But okay, yes. But here's my thought. Monte's not a max level player. He's a $10 million.
Sure.
So you can have 2 max contracts around. Like is he a starter on the Los Angeles Clippers, a team built around 2 wings, and you can win a championship? I think he is. I think yes on that specific team.
If they did not have Reggie Jackson, yes.
Even alongside Reggie Jackson, like that's your backcourt. And then you have Kawhi, Paul George 3-4, Zubac's 5.
Tough. I think it's close.
Yeah.
I think it's close. But the fact that he's even like close, right? You have a guy who's like close to being good enough for starter, and he's your backup point guard most of the time.
Right.
And he's just consistent. Tourniquet.
He's
good.
Really good. Solid.
He was also a big part of how they punished Trae. Like he was making Trey Young run all over the court. He was running him through screens. He caught him off ball, napping a couple of times. Like they really took advantage of the fact that Trey Young is a sucky defender. I mean, they hurt Trey Young on the defensive end tonight.
By the way, with regards to Trey, I thought Gordon and Jeff Green in particular looked enormous and were always around him. I mean, Gordon obviously guarded him, but there were a lot of times.
I was actually just going to say this. I actually really liked the defensive coverage on him too, in that they basically showed him a different look almost every time, where like, all right, we're going to blitz you. Up, nope, we're dropping. Up, okay, we're going to fake the drop, and then we're going to step up. Up, okay, we're going to switch it. Nope, we're going to fake the switch, and then they ran every kind of different coverage at him, and it really did do a good job of getting him just a little uncertain. Like there was a couple times when he was able to be like, okay, you're dropping, I can get the teardrop, and he hit it, and he was like, okay. But most of the time, it was really annoying for him trying to figure out what the Nuggets were throwing at him, and like he's seen all that coverage, but the fact that they have the defenders that they do was helpful in getting him just a little bit off enough for them to get the separation they needed. The defense obviously wasn't like phenomenal tonight, giving up 115, but I thought Denver did a good enough job to get the separation they needed with the starters.
Yeah, for sure. Bart, what about Barton? What do you think of Barton's night tonight?
I'll say this. I thought his defense tonight in the first half and the start was good. And then second half, it was pretty bad. I just think like he seems to be getting worse to me. And look, in years past, we would probably be like, hey, do they need to sit him? And it's just like, it's not realistic. You can't. You just.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay.
I think you might be able to sit him.
Okay.
But here's the thing. I actually think tonight, because I'm with you, physically he looks worse and worse almost. Like his explosiveness is going. He's short on a lot of his jumpers. He just does not look healthy. And he had a couple high profile moments tonight where you're kind of like, you're not healthy. Quit being aggressive. Like scale it back. That's one of the critiques I've had of him even in years past, where I thought fans have been too harsh on him, but I've still thought his game doesn't scale back when he is injured, like very well. And there are moments of that tonight, but I still felt like he did some good things tonight. Like there still were moments where I was like, that's a nice play. That was something good that came out of him. So he finishes, even if the stat point line, like the 5 points are concerning. He only went 2 of 10 from the field, but it's 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 block shots, and a +10. Like he wasn't for having a bad game. He wasn't horrendous. He wasn't like he made it hard on Denver. He wasn't an anchor.
He wasn't checked out. I think that's one of the things with Will is like, I think he's having a hard time getting the energy and like finding the body to be able to do stuff. But
I'm worried about that. Yeah.
Like the spirit is there, Yeah. Like he's not checked out. He's not drifting. It's not on the mental side. It's not on the emotional side. Like he wanted to play well, and he's trying to play well. They're just trying to get there. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this win, and we'll talk about some of the off-court stuff. Davon Reed coming back.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. Yep.
A number of things. We'll do all that when we come back on Locked On Nuggets. First, I'm going to choke. I need to tell you about Built Bar because Built Bar is amazing. And if you're looking for that last minute stocking stuffer, nothing better than a Built Bar. Delicious and healthy. It's so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, but high in protein. That's Built Bar. They got so many flavors. Which one are you going to choose? My favorite's raspberry. You can get mint brownie or cherry or double chocolate, cookies and cream. How about peanut butter brownie? They give you the extra fuel to be able to knock down somebody if you're trying to get that last second Christmas gift for somebody. People are passionate about their flavor, so don't bring it up at the holiday gatherings. You don't want a fight on your hands. You can dip them in hot cocoa. That's a choice. I don't know how anyone would do that. I've never heard of dipping a protein bar in hot chocolate, but you can do it Built Bar because they're made out of 100% chocolate. If you like marshmallowy treats, you need to get your hand on the Built Bar Puffs. They're light, fluffy, and marshmallowy through and through. Different flavors, all covered in chocolate. Go to Built.com and use promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, LOCKED15 for 15% off your first order. That's LOCKED15 for 15% off your first order at Built.com. Also, I want to tell you about BetOnline. They've got you covered all season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football season continues the march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to the new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. Basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day here on Locked On Nuggets. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets with your boy Q and expert analysis from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. That's Locked On Bets. All right, final segment here with Adam Mares on a Friday night, wrapping up the Nuggets' big win versus the Hawks to kick off their second part of the road trip from hell. Road trip from hell, part 2, Electric Boogaloo. I don't know. Davon Reed is going to get re-signed by the Nuggets. Let's talk about that in a second. I want to ask you, is there anything more from this game that you kind of want to get to? Because it did feel like we breezed through it. It was a really impressive shooting performance. They took advantage of the Hawks in all sorts of ways. This is a team that has gotten them a couple of times in Atlanta, and they wrecked them.
Oh, I thought Atlanta, the 5th fewest wins or the 5th lowest win percentage for the Nuggets in franchise history. So it's not a place that Denver traditionally does very well. So it is a big deal to win in Atlanta. My only other 2 thoughts were 35 assists tonight. Denver hit the ball's been popping a lot lately. 35 assists is a lot of assists, and then 17 of 38 from 3. Those 2 things go hand in hand, by the way. When you make your threes, you tend to have a lot of assists.
Jokic only plays 26 minutes, had to sit in the third quarter with foul trouble. Thought it was going to get a little tight there, but the bench came in and gave them a really great burst and got them to the end of the quarter. And then Jokic comes back in to start the fourth and burst it back open alongside
knock down threes against the zone, which was key. They didn't look good, but they hit like 4 or 5 threes so that it ended up adding up to being okay against that zone.
20 points, 10 boards, 7 assists in 26 minutes for Joker. He continues to be an absolute freak of nature. Just absolutely incredible season. 2 seasons, career, everything. Jokic 8 of 12. Just Jokic is amazing. That's what I got. Some sick passes, by the way, too. He had some absolute.
This is the first game we haven't talked about Joker. You're right. We didn't even mention him. That's so wild.
Yeah. I mean, because him going 20, 10, and 7 is just light work.
No, very light work.
Very light work. All right, so Davon Reed comes back under the hardship exception because of all the injuries and COVID and everything else. There's some changes to the rules. They're going to be able to sign 10-day players if they deal with more COVID absences. Michael Porter Jr., by the way, obviously out for the season, but he is also in COVID protocols again.
By the way, he's not out for the season. Officially.
Yeah, I talked about this on a previous show. I've been given the impression that he's probably not coming back. So
we'll see.
Okay. So anyway, Michael Porter Jr., who's out for the foreseeable future for an indefinite amount of time. He's out indefinitely.
Foreseeable future is correct. Isn't that what Malone puts?
For the foreseeable future. He's also back in protocols. So Maybe third time's a charm.
Well, I was
Fourth
thinking
time?
about this today, Matt, when the 70th player of the week entered the protocols that I mean, look, the NBA does not want to cancel, suspend, delay the season in any capacity. But if for whatever reason this thing keeps going the direction it has gone and we have not seen a peak and the NBA is forced to delay things a month, I do think that actually affects Denver's time frame more than any other team, in that we already talk about Murray coming back February, maybe March. If you buy an extra month of the season there, and then Michael Porter, who we've heard maybe could come back, but we'll see if they rush it. Well, if everything moves back, that actually does change Denver's overall timeline quite a bit. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think the odds are extremely low, but that is what I think about when I see 50 players today enter the protocols.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably got to be on the mind. Thoughts on Davon Reed coming back?
I can't believe you didn't have more to say about Denver's timeline. It's so true. Like, if everything moves back a month, Denver, all of a sudden everything changes for Denver. But
the conversations that I've had do not lead me to believe that the suspension would be, if there was to be a suspension, which there probably will not be, that it would be very long.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like, yeah, it would help. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
They have more wiggle. Some people think that they have no wiggle room, and that's not true. They have some wiggle room, but they don't have enough wiggle room to, like, they can't go a month. Yeah. There's too many concerts scheduled for like August.
Right.
They gotta get out. So, and they don't want, and the owners have been explicit about, we're never going up against football again.
Right.
Never do it. So, yeah. What do you think about Davon Reed?
I really like Davon Reed. I really like the way that Michael Malone used him as a starter who still only played like 16 minutes a game. I think that's a perfect role. It reminds me of how George Karl used Dante Jones back in the day, where he started both halves and that was the only stint he played. That's kind of what Davon Reed did. The question, though, is he's not going to start over Will Barton. That's just not going to happen. Does Davon Reed belong in the second unit? I don't think that necessarily makes sense either, especially as the second unit is starting to figure itself out. So I like him. I'm glad he gets called up. People don't realize every time he gets called up, he makes like his entire year's salary per day of what he makes down in the G League. So for him personally, this is a big deal. But I'm glad. I always like those stories. But I am a little, my enthusiasm is a little stunted by the fact that I think he has a very narrow but good role for Denver, but he's not going to be able to play that role this time around. Unless Barton takes a game off here or there.
Okay. Just not enough minutes.
I just don't know where he would play. Like, okay, so let's go. He's not going to start because Barton's going to start. You know, he's not going to take Jeff Green's spot. He's not going to take Monte's spot. So does that mean he goes to the bench? Well, you've got Bones and Facu. They're both going to play. So does he play over Austin Rivers? No.
Yeah.
So is he playing the 4? No.
See, I can see him playing over Rivers because they basically had to play 3-guard lineups tonight because they don't have any wings. But you can play Davon at the 3, and then you actually have like a wing.
He's only marginally bigger than Austin Rivers, and I just don't see Malone doing that. Malone doesn't make changes like that for guys unless they did something, unless they lose their spot. And I don't think Austin Rivers lost his spot.
I mean, he lost it once a season, right?
Well, he did lose it then. I'm saying, but not like he didn't lose it. He was playing well right before going into the protocols, and then he played well tonight. So I don't think Davon Reed's going to come back and he's like, "Hey, Austin, you're now below Davon Reed on the totem pole." I just don't see it.
That's fair. There's a lot of questions about Danuel House, who got released by the Rockets. Do you have any interest in Danuel House?
No, but it's not that I specifically don't have interest in him. I don't really have much thoughts on Danuel House.
I don't believe that he plays the type of basketball that is. Let me put it this way. I don't think the minutes with Danuel House and Jokic would be what you would want. Okay. So that's my opinion. Is like, I think House is a shooter that's streaky and comes from an organization where he's had success that hasn't ever focused on.
You think he's a Malik Beasley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't.
But not as good of a shooter.
Right. I think that's the problem. So decision making is also a little questionable. So I think that's a little difficult. So you got anything else?
Yeah, my only other thought was that, the protocols really have become a big deal. There are a lot of players testing positive. I really am just curious. I'm over the hump on this season in that I put this out today. This season is feeling more and more like the bubble, and that everybody's hand dealt is dealt their hand, and you just have to play it, right? Like, I'm not trying to say it's a fake or asterisk. I'm so against that, but it is feeling like one of those years where you're like, oh, that's the challenge. It's not a typical season. This is a weird one where teams are just going to have to, like, it's more about adaptability and perseverance and not necessarily about building the team and coming together. It's like, oh, you're just going to be dealt weird hands and you have to play them all year long.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. I think we were pretty normal for the first 6 weeks of the season.
It's winter, though. I think we know this. COVID is a winter cycle. Everybody goes indoors.
Yeah, except like my counter to this would be there's a lot of stuff. This is just what I've read. Okay. And we've even seen it in Colorado to a certain degree. Delta spiked early and it was really bad. And then it decreased and the numbers went back down. Now here in Larimer, we're having a hospital shortage. Like we're having an ICU bed shortage. It's bad. Right. And we're short staffed and it's rough. The case rate is what I'm talking about though. The case rate like dipped back. And so I do think that there's a good chance that this variant, which is less severe, a lot of the players are asymptomatic. The league is looking at adjusting protocols, which would get guys out sooner. I think what we're probably going to see is this super intense, like 10% of the league is in protocols right now.
Right.
A super intense spike right now through the end of the year.
Right.
And then maybe by January, it's like, oh, we got through this. Like the surge was shorter. Our surges back before the vaccine were month long. We would have surges from October through December. And our surges now are happening in like shorter stints. I think the league's probably going to get boosters. They're probably going to get different types of boosters and not the J&J, which has been a largely part of what's been disseminated to the players. And I think that all those things will kind of factor in. And I think that I'm optimistic that the season won't be defined in the same way that the 2020-21 season was by everybody that was massively affected. But maybe
it feels like a year ago, but it was I believe 10 days ago or so that Vucevic tweeted out, well, at least we'll have herd immunity by the playoffs, LOL. But he actually might be right. Like there might be an advantage to going through this as a team now, as opposed to if you make it all the way to March, April, and all of a sudden you have a team outbreak and then you're just screwed. So this is all I mean is I just look at this and I go, sadly, I think this is going to be a thing that's just a major storyline in the season. And it already is, but I'm saying even going forward, there's just going to be there's no good time for it to happen, but it's going to keep, it seems like it's going to keep happening. And the team is, even though the NBA is going to change their protocols, it's still going to affect wins and losses and maybe even playoff seeding and maybe even playoff series.
Let's go wrap it up for Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. Really appreciate it. Check out Adam's work at DNVR, thednvr.com. Check out my work at the Action Network. You can follow me on Twitter at HP Basketball. Adam's at Adam_Mares. If you're watching this show, as you guys are, you're already probably checking it out through YouTube. Do want to let you know that if you're listening to this podcast, please go to our YouTube page. Subscribe. Please subscribe. Like, that is the best way for you to support the show. It is absolutely the most important.
Apparently, we're live for real now, so you can watch us late at night. Usually
when we're doing these shows,
or
we pop up on YouTube and you can join us. There's people chatting away. So hi guys and welcome. And we'll talk to you guys again next time. Have yourselves a great weekend. We'll see you guys again on Monday with